Picture an apple in your mind. How big is it? What color is the skin? How sweet? How tart? Is it juicy? Now tell me, is that apple real? No, of course not. It's just an image in your brain. But you based it off of something real, haven't you? A memory of another apple, and another, and a million different apples you've seen throughout your life. Were those apples real? After all, they are long gone from your sight. You cannot touch or taste them. They are, too, just an image on your brain. Reality isn't real. Okay, maybe that's an oversimplification. We perceive reality through our minds, through the complex web of connections that create the ghost of sensations, of sight and taste and texture to form memory. So what do you do when that memory starts to fail you? Let's start over. Sidney Cohen is a young man wrapping up his senior year of high school and going into his first year of college. His main hobby is creating art, of which he begins posting about to his small following on TikTok and Twitter in early 2022. The very first of these posts showing us a painting depicting what appears to be Sid running through a strange, colorful world. Water comes up to his waist and bright lights hover around him, while he reaches up towards something, obscured by the curtain being pulled down by a wooden hand. I'd say that is a fascinating start. The next post is a monochromatic blue painting depicting Sid sitting in an art gallery, while strange figures surround him. A dragon, a puppet, a cat, and 2 Venus flytraps. We don't see much out of the ordinary from Sidney's accounts until June 6th of 2022, when he posts a video to TikTok showing off his final high school project. Technicolor painting of a figure holding a grinning severed head. We don't get word from him until August when he uploads his first video to YouTube. It's a pretty standard introductory video as Sidney introduces himself and his goal with the channel, to post videos sharing art tips and tricks. The first handful of videos on his channel follow this path. Meanwhile on TikTok, Sid uploads a video of himself lost in the woods.
So I was exploring near where my college is and found this little forest, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I'm a little lost right now. So, well, let's hope Google Maps can fix this.
He seems fine, however, as we see him a week later in quick lines with concept characters where he begins working on sketching 3 character designs. The next video continues with these same 3 characters as he colors them in red, blue, and yellow respectively. Unfortunately, it seems Sidney might be sick as he breaks into a coughing fit and he gets back to work and everything is normal until the outro, where he has a similar fit with a similar reaction in the video quality. A week later, Sidney uploads a speed paint video showing us a digital painting he made for an unnamed friend as a gift for said friend's birthday. While the recording plays, he apologizes for the strange glitches in the past videos, presuming that they've occurred from an error during upload. As if taunting him, the video distorts when he says this. This is the first video with Morse code, which will become a running theme on the channel. 2 lines right at the end. The first reads, "Mirror faces," and the second reads, "Familiar." He goes on TikTok to complain about the glitches he's experiencing, and just a few weeks later a strange video shows up on the same account. Black and white footage of a wall and the end of a door frame, with a strange figure moving about at the end of the screen, and big scratchy text reading, "Soon." There's another set of Morse code in the description of this one, translated to "stranger and stranger." Just a couple days later, Sidney makes a video breaking down composition and art. The video continues its glitching, but this time puts extra emphasis on an entire phrase.
And that's very important because sometimes details might not be noticed unless attention is drawn to them.
This is very clear lamp shading, but it's unclear if it's meant to be from the creator, the seemingly supernatural antagonist, or... What was that? Yes, that! I thought it was a code at first, but that was person-shaped. We just saw our first shadow person. We conclude with more delightful distortion, and a photo of a tree from our Scratchy friend. Speaking of Scratchy, we get another Morse code video. Dark footage of a forest and a code that translates to closer. October 11th, Sydney paints while high, and there is heavy distortion throughout the entire video, including a countdown from 3. The last frame shows scratchy text reading, "Ready?" October 17th, path begin. The scratchy text is back, now for a whole video. We open on what appears to be an animation of train tracks, a bus, a lawn chair in an empty space, and a collection of cameras, followed by a segment rapidly switching between a strange winding hallway and the woods Sydney got lost in a while back. There's a fork in the path, and the person holding the camera appears to hesitate before deciding to walk along the middle, between the paths. We cut to the stranger, who draws a symbol in the dirt and assures us that he, presumably Sydney, has not lied, but he will, and that he needs a guide. As he finished drawing, we cut to footage of what appears to be Sydney sitting in the woods with a flashlight on him. He seems distressed, angry, and scared. We cut back to a picture of a lamppost while our narrator offers to illuminate things. Quite literally, as they show us what might be their true form. A strange overlapping figure with a burning white face. We then get a strange image of Sydney, his face overlapped at 3 angles, in a way reminiscent of the Roman god Janus, and what is likely related to the diverging paths from earlier. We get one last shot of what we can now see as Sydney's arm destroying the symbol. By the following morning, Sydney has discovered the video and confirms on both Twitter and TikTok that he didn't upload it and can't delete it. He returns to the YouTube channel a day later, apologizing for the strange upload, but brushing it off as some kind of Halloween prank. He still can't delete it, however, as his internet bugs out every time he tries. Funny that. The video once again distorts as Sydney looks down, a smug, disdainful expression on his face before he snaps back to normal. A week later, we get update 1, where Sydney opens up about the nightmares he's begun having about the man from the hacked video. There are distortions throughout, and Sydney once again appears to rapidly change in mood as the video distorts once more, this time accompanied by a loud tone as the footage cuts. By update 2, Sydney's gotten a break from the nightmares. By which I mean that he's not sleeping. At all. He's at the park, apologizing for his continued hiatus, and confirms that he's received no further contact from our mysterious hacker. Our next upload of interest comes to us November 22nd, as Sydney teaches us about perspective shots. He begins doodling in his journal, but there are some interruptions. While Sydney is showing us foreshortening, it begins to cut back and forth with a toned video from the same angle of Sydney destroying the very same page he's working on now, overwriting it with big marker strokes. Just as the red half begins to trace his hand, Sydney finishes the page and shows us the final project. And Sydney, he looks exhausted. November 30th, Sydney posts Lost Harbor, a video he doesn't remember taking. In it, he had mysteriously awoken at a harbor in the middle of the night, 2.5 hours away from his dorm. He doesn't know how he got there, and can only assume that he walked the whole way. There are several moments of bright green distortion spread throughout. The recording ends there, and current Sydney follows up with us that he needs help. On December 6th, Sydney posts Moving Forward, a vlog recorded from the inside of a gallery, where he apologizes for the lack of art-related videos due to the stress he's under. He specifies that the gallery is empty, which is noticeably false by the viewer due to the shadowy figure lurking around the corner watching him. Sydney ends the video by asking the viewer for help, stating that it won't leave him be. December 22nd, Sydney's home for the holidays! He assures us that everything is going great right before the footage cuts to him walking around a dark park when he confesses that that was a lie and everything is in fact awful. He tells us about his burning headache as the screen goes green, followed by yet another coughing fit. After getting over said fit, he continues listing his other symptoms, such as frequent bloody noses and the appearance of shadowy figures. As he tells us this, the streetlights go dead. The screen goes green as Sydney begins to flee. There's a loud bang and Sydney is knocked out. And we get another string of garbled Morse code. The text itself is distorted now, even through the Morse code. Whoever's been giving us these messages seems to have been trying to warn Sydney of something. December 26th, he posts a Christmas transition video on TikTok, but instead of showing off presents or dinner like it normally would, the latter half of the footage is a shot of the forest floor where Sydney is lying down, alongside a caption in Morse code reading "Long year, more to come, incapacitated." On January 10th on TikTok, we watch as Sydney wakes up in the forest, surrounded by strange sketchbook pages littering the ground. A few days later, we get to see the rest of Sydney's rude awakening in the forest, surrounded by the papers.
What the fuck? It's me bloody. What the? Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. Fuck.
Get to see the rest of Sydney's rude awakening in the forest, surrounded by the papers. And we get a much better view of each of them. There's the symbol again, which appears to be either some sort of crown or a path. There's a drawing of the hooded figure with the light face. The phrase, "Don't stop looking, keep going, do not forget, remember to read, and let him win, let it win." Sydney sits down and recounts his memory, which ended at the park we saw him in last video until he woke up here. He confirms that the notes were written in his handwriting, but he doesn't remember writing it. It had been a week since he can last remember anything, and he doesn't know if he can ask his friends and family about any of it. Sid is frustrated by the whole situation, and most specifically, he's frustrated with the incomprehensible warnings he seems to have written for himself. We do get a light in the darkness, however, as he safely returns home, and we get our first peek at a friendly shadow creature, in the form of his family cat. A few days later, Sydney pops on YouTube to assure us that he's still alive and prepares to ask one of his friends about the time he's missed. Sydney doesn't tell his friend that he's recording him, not wanting to explain the situation. His friend confirms that they hung out together in the past week. He clumsily tries to hide the fact that something's wrong, but his friend, who we now know is named Jack, is concerned. Sydney continues through text to tell us that he's leaving the state, and that he's headed to New York to find someone, and that it needs more people, before once again flashing his email on screen. So what exactly is happening here? Well, it's clear that one or more supernatural entity is either controlling Sydney or causing him to enter a dissociative state. Or maybe both. There are at least two kinds of entities we've seen so far. The Man of Light and the Shadow People. They may be working together or they may be enemies, but both have a vested interest in Sydney. There are certain repeated symbols that I believe are important to understanding the greater story. Bright lights appear throughout, from the very first post, when Sydney is surrounded by lights of various colors. And these lights appear in almost every single drawing Sydney's posted. There's Lightbulb Head, of course, the street lights, both the ones in the park and the ones shown in Scratchy's interceptions. The harbor, or the water, and the distortion amplified when it's brought up, is clearly significant in some way, as Sydney was dragged all the way out to the water, and he says he had not been dragged all the way out to the water. The water also appears on the first painting, and in the high school painting. It may not seem terribly important, but I think it's of note that the harbor video is drenched in green light, the same light that tints the screen during Sydney's coughing fits. And finally, the paths. We have an entire video named for the concept, including a part where Sydney comes upon diverging path and opts to walk straight through. Then there is, of course, the symbol, the reoccurring symbol we keep seeing everywhere, the path. The symbol has shown up over and over as a calling card of whatever is haunting him. I think something happened to him that first time he got lost in the woods. I think whatever this creature is, or whatever these creatures are, they latched onto him at that point. Now, this is an absolute shot in the dark, but there's a novel by H.P. Lovecraft called Colors from Outer Space, where a meteor crashes into a small farmhouse's well and poisons the water with a strange color beyond anything the human mind can comprehend. It poisons crops, drives humans and animals mad, and mutates all life that comes in contact with it. At the very end, the globs of color rise up from the well and make their ascent back into space, save for one. There is one glob of this color that tries and fails to follow its siblings, before sinking back into the well and, presumably, continuing to infect the water for all time to come. What if this being of incomprehensible light, who inspires the colorful lights in Sydney's paintings, is residing in the harbor? What if, when he got lost that night, he ended up at the harbor and the creature claimed him? I have caught this series right at its beginning, and I am excited to see where it goes. While it takes many cues from the Slenderverse series that predate it, I still feel it is a worthwhile story to tell, and I am glad to be here to witness it. I find Sydney's art beautiful and the story fun to witness, and I'm excited to see it to the end. As of writing, there is no new content. I don't know where the ARG is going from here, but I'm thrilled to watch it grow.
Hey, this is a message for Sid Cohen, which I hope this still is. You have been posting some strange shit on your channel lately, and you haven't exactly been subtle about your cries for help. Thankfully for you, I know a thing or two about strange shit. Okay. Do you remember the Slender Man? You know, big, faceless guy? Like to steal kids? Yeah, all those myths and stories that circled around it? Yeah. Most of them it's just fiction. That all these urban legends are just fake, made up to scare you. But sometimes fiction likes to sleep out of its bounds. And things without faces tend to be related. I would know. There are things in this world that don't want to be named. Don't want to be seen. Truly anonymous things. What you are dealing with does not want to be seen. But it's there. And it's coming. You can't let it catch you off guard. You need to know how to prepare for it. You need to keep yourself safe. You can't let yourself slip any further than you already have. So, listen to me. Keep an eye out for a wooden medallion. Just a little token. You'll recognize it when you see it. And since it has already found you, it shouldn't be too difficult to get your hands on. find the token. Okay? You'll be glad you did.
Well, I stand corrected. So I took too long to record this, and there's a new video. We get one more entry to our little tale in the form of solar antithesis. A stranger sends Sydney a video over email where a distorted voice provides encouragement and advice and crucial information over footage of what appears to be an eclipse. They conclude the video by telling Sydney to find a green medallion and confirm that this series takes place in the Slenderverse. There's not much I can say at this point, as this character has just been revealed, but I do have some small analysis to bring up. Solar Antithesis is an interesting name, especially with the footage behind his video being an eclipse. Perhaps our strange glowing friend is the sun, with Solar Antithesis, his opposite, trying to block him out? I'm not sure, but I would be absolutely thrilled if any of you would like to join me on this investigation. Signing off.